Hi Moo. Um, I wanted to thank you again for your video response there. Um, just wanted to say this is exactly what I had in mind, I guess. Um, just to explain again the motivation behind my video and why I'm so pleased that you did your video. Um, I knew that I wanted to tell my story about how I became an atheist, but I wasn't sure what kind of detail or how exactly I wanted to tell the story. Um, my whole thinking is that it's to create a set of stories or something about atheism or how people became atheists as a sort of comparable set of stories to how Christians have testimony and so on like that. This is just sort of an idea I had. But I was in an email conversation with Paul Doman, in which he said something rather startling to me. He was discussing how he was interacting with some of the other YouTubers by email and other various ways. And he said that he thought it was interesting that he was interacting with with other YouTubers, and yet he didn't know them. And that, to me, I realized that there's something a little funny going on there. How could we... YouTube's entire purpose is to create a kind of social network, and how could we be sort of socializing and yet not know each other? And so, I basically dictated how I was going to, and then Paul Doman did his sort of personal kind of story of his own, and then this just dictated how I was going to do my story, and that's to give sort of reasonable detail and go a little long on my story. And clearly you followed suit, and I think that that's perfect. And that's really what was meant by that. I just wanted to dive into some of the things you said, though. So you've embraced skepticism as your main label for yourself, and I think that that's great. I like to associate myself with skeptics as well. I don't believe in water divining or UFOs or Yeti either. But I have some serious caveat with all that, though. As you know, I have a serious math background, and as a mathematician, we're so used to essentially perfect truth, at least in regards to mathematics, and we're very, mathematics doesn't shift with the tide or anything like that. We're not going to have new math that invalidates the old math. Like even physics is not immune to that. But so this is when I think of skepticism, what I do is I describe myself as being a judicious skeptic. That is, I try to find good things to be skeptical about. So I'm not skeptical that 2 + 2 is 4, for example. But this isn't just a sort of theoretical point of view. A prime example of skepticism gone a little bit wrong, I think, is Michael Shermer, who's the president of the Skeptic Society, has said for a long time that he's skeptical of global warming. That's a little odd. You're just going to be skeptical of things that lots of scientists are saying? Right, and then Al Gore comes out with this movie, the Inconvenient Truth and all that, and Michael Shermer then says, oh, after seeing that movie, now I'm less skeptical about global warming. And that to me is just amazing, because when I saw The Inconvenient Truth, of course, I saw, oh, great, lots of science and lots of useful facts and a good story, but here's the problem. It was mixed with a lot of propaganda and presentation by Al Gore there. It's a little hard to call that movie pure science. And so if I remember, I'm going to put a link up here to a really just a pure scientific presentation on global warming, which I think is just far more useful. So for me, The Inconvenient Truth actually made me more skeptical of global warming, while for Mike Shermer it made him I don't know. I don't know how that... Untamed skepticism can sometimes be a little bit misleading. That's all I'm saying. You have to sort of pick and choose your skepticism. I think it's just my point of view. Um, Also, your whole idea of the sort of conflicted idea of what an atheist Jew is. That you know what defines a Jew is really curious to me. I mean, so I had this coworker who's from Texas, and he's like, if to look at him or listen to him, the guy's like redneck Texas, very thick Texan accent, Southern accent, and well, he's a Jew, he says. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's funny. If it, This has got to be a pretty marginal Jew, so I'm like, okay, this is perfect. I got to ask him, what are the rules for becoming a Jew? Did you just convert or something? And he's like, no, no, no. I'm just Jewish. I come from a Jewish lineage. I'm like, oh, how does that? My mom was a Jew, and I'm like, oh, so if your mother's a Jew, you're a Jew. And he says, yeah, that's right. I'm like, wait, but Sammy Davis Jr. said he tried to convert to Judaism, and he's like, yeah, you can convert, but you're not a real Jew or something. I was very confused by that. I'm like, wait a minute, Christians who convert are Christians. I mean, okay, so here was the scenario I posed to him. What if a Jewish woman marries a Christian man and they have children and they're raised as Christians? Are they still considered Jewish? Because after all, the mother was, and that conversation didn't go anywhere because he's. It's just funny. He had never. It's like that had never occurred to him before, and he just. So yeah. uh, I don't understand. Basically, is what I. That's about all I can say about that. But it's funny. Oh, and then you told the story about your teacher who got kicked out for reading the Bible in very convincing ways that can be considered. I mean that's. I mean, when I was doing my video, I was trying to cut things short for time, and yeah, I had exactly the same story, right? Grade 3, it wasn't an external teacher, my main teacher for grade 3 started reading us the Bible, and I don't know, maybe a month, he's kicked out, and I never got the whole story on that. I don't know if my mom was involved in any way of getting him, because my mom's a big atheist, right? So. Yeah, I didn't. But yeah, the story is very similar, right? Oh, okay. And then I have to call you on your labeling yourself a geek. As you know, the standard has been set here. Started by How to Fold Soup, and I did a follow-up video. You want to be a geek? I just have two objections to your calling yourself a geek there. One is that you're an officer in the Israeli army, and two, that your schoolmates, when they bothered you about your non-kosher foods, that you basically told them to go away. So here's the thing: if you were a true geek, first of all, you should fail the physical and get kicked out of the army. And second of all, when your schoolmates bug you about your non-kosher food, there's only one possible resolution of that as a geek. That is, you get beat up. So, if you want to explain yourself or in any way, that's fine. We'll call your geek label a little tentative there. If you, anyways, a little more seriously though, I'm in total agreement on the whole fence sitter thing. Yeah, I'm just on the issue of fence sitters. This is the reason why we have to speak up. If we as atheists can just talk about our atheism and really demonstrate that we're just normal people, on that atheist philosophy or whatever you want to call that is legitimate. I think that helps fence sitters or maybe really moderate believers who maybe realize that most of the Bible is really full of it. Is there something to go to? We have to. I think it's up to us to make sure that the answer to that is yes. Atheism is not some kind of dead end Satanistic kind of evil nonsense or anything like that. Your story about losing your friends in the army, though, I mean that I don't have anything similar to that. That must be very can imagine, and that's all I can do. Um, but I just wanted to make the comment that I think it's fascinating that the sort of the religious virus, if you think of it, just has no shame about preying upon people who are grieving, right? So your friends just are telling you, oh, God works in mysterious ways, there's a reason behind his big plan or whatever, and they have no shame about that, and it's not even your friends maybe, right? It's the virus talking, right? It's the religious virus. Um, but the virus doesn't let them escape the total lameness of their explanations, which is it's kind of interesting that it can have it can draw people into religion or completely push them away. And of course, I'm happy the way it turned out for you. Yeah, thanks for the podcast suggestions. I had not heard of that, the Skeptics podcast. So I'm subscribed. I'm gonna listen to those. My main skeptic podcasts that I listen to are Skepticality and the Infidel Guy Show, which I don't know. They started out good and then started getting lamer. The Infidel Guy Show, I mean, that was they got some really good interviews there, but the show started to go a little bit downhill. I don't want to get into that. Okay, but back to your fence sitter thing. I have one little small disagreement there. You had said that the fundies are not worth saving or not worth. I have a bit of a. I'm not sure that that's the right answer, because there are three primary examples right here on YouTube, namely Fatty Chunks, Chedag, and this new guy, Ridiot, or apparently he's returned or something like that. He used to post before I even joined YouTube, I think. These people were serious Bible thumper fundamentalists, and they converted. What I would say is that it's not so easy for us sort of regular atheists to convert fundamentalists, but those people themselves, they've gone through the whole process from one end of the spectrum to the other, and I think they themselves they can convert fundamentalists. If anyone can, they can. I think the power of their speech is amazing, because you can't say that they didn't know. You can't, right? Anyway, I wanted to thank you again for your video. I mean, besides just purely greedy reasons or selfish reasons for wanting to know more about you, I think it's extremely valuable. Really fits the kind of thing that I think that I was looking for if anybody wanted to tell atheist stories. I also get a sense that maybe people are starting to open up a little. Paul Doman, your video, and now my videos are not the only examples I see of atheists maybe opening up a little bit. And I think this is a good trend. I think that could help our cause quite a bit. Anyways, thanks again. That's all I had. To be later.